Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your May the 20th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. It's early where I'm at, but I am grateful to just to have a day to take care of my family. I'm looking forward to the day. May 20th. The rewards of responsibility. We don't always want to work our program, but we know the rewards we get when we take responsibility for our recovery and the consequences when we do not. That comes from the Living Clean book, Chapter 1, Keys to Freedom. Early recovery, especially our first go at it, can seem almost magical. For many addicts, things get so much better so quickly when we first find NA. We put some days together clean. We start feeling physically better. It's easier to pay the rent because we don't have a habit, so we gain a little stability. Those NA folks are really encouraging, and what is that hope I feel? Soon the minor miracles of early recovery, like paying bills, eating actual meals, or having regular bowel movements, lose some of their charm. It dawns on us that just not using is not enough. Despite having a cool sponsor and some friends who are clean, NA activities and a roof over our heads, we still have that gnawing feeling that something is missing. While surrendering ourselves with good people is important, recovery is not contagious. We won't catch it simply by hanging around. This is an important realization, but it's what we do with it that matters. Ignore it and know that using may start to appeal to us. Get busy and reap more of the rewards of recovery. Sooner or later, and at multiple points in our journey, each of us faces these alternatives. Stay clean but remain miserable, and set ourselves up for a possible relapse, or take responsibility for our recovery. And so we engage in what's before us, the work of recovery. It's a 12-step program. Why not work all 12? The rewards are many, and the most valuable among them intangible. In recovery, we become self-aware, and unlike when we were in the grips of the disease, we have the freedom to choose what to do with what we learn about ourselves. The road to spiritual wealth opens up when we accept responsibility for our recovery in all it entails. I will check in with my feelings and confide in a friend today. I will apply the spiritual principle of responsibility by identifying what's happening with me and being open to change. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. The rewards of responsibility. And I do agree, we don't always want to work our program, but we know that the rewards of taking responsibility for our recovery are something that we want to maintain and maybe even increase. And we know the consequences if we don't continue to work our program. There's nothing like having clean time and hit a plateau where a person, myself, my own experience, hit a plateau and you could care less about making a meeting. You could care less about a phone call from a sponsee, and you could care less about calling a sponsor. You could care less about working steps, making meetings, um, reading literature, meditating, praying. None of that moves you. And you've hit a plateau. You've gotten to a point where, okay, I am exhausted. I've done it. I know I can do it. I've been here for a minute. I'm working. I have some degrees or education, or I'm making good money. Whatever I'm doing, I have a house that I want. I'm driving what I want. Yeah, I'm good. And then something happens. A death of a loved one, a loss of a very important relationship, death, divorce, prison sentences, or now your energy is tapped into because you have a family member that needs some help, that is debilitated for some reason, whether it be, physical health, or they've used so much they can't really think anymore for themselves. They're mentally unstable, whatever it is. Now, all of a sudden, my energy is being tapped, and I don't have that same relationship that I had with the rooms before. I'm not in the meetings like I used to be before. I'm not talking to people like I used to be before. And now, when I need it the most, I am reluctant to reach out for help because besides using, I pretty much have left the fellowship. So that looks kind of awkward, just showing up or calling or texting someone you haven't been in touch with for years at a time of need. If that's you, and I've been there, if that's you, I want to encourage you and just tell you that something is awakening inside of you that's saying, grab that lifeboat, grab that lifeboat, or hold on to that rope. Hold on to that rope that has been tossed to you, and go ahead and move on the urge to reach out for help. Because even though everyone may not be available to you the last time you reached out, those same people might not be there anymore, especially after the pandemic. Some people are buried, they've died. So some of those close relationships, they didn't die a natural death, but they're not here anymore. Some of our sponsee sisters or sponsee brothers or our sponsors, these people have left this life. And so they may not really, literally be there anymore. However, there are other recovering addicts that really have the understanding, right? That the therapeutic addict of, or the therapeutic value of one addict helping another, excuse me, right, is without parallel. They have that within them, and they believe that, and they make themselves available to be there for suffering addicts or people reaching out that just need an ear to bend. It's okay that you're not working it the way that you used to. It's more important that you want to. You remember when you say you are. As long as you have a desire to stop using, that's all that's required for membership. And you can tap right back into the flow of things and get back to working your program. Some of the nostalgia of getting clean and having our bodies begin to wake up and understand that we are human and that we are alive and we have feelings, and we also have physical needs that need to be taken care of, like eating meals and getting sleep and drinking water, exercise, going to the doctor, finding out what's wrong with us, if anything, probably so if we've been using, right? Some of that nostalgia of I'm human again, I'm back in the flow of society again, some of that just wears off. But we don't want it to wear out. We don't want to become so complacent that we're closer to our next one than we ever were, one bad decision away. I want my life to be more full with people that I enjoy, right? And they enjoy me. I'm not about conflict in the rooms, right? I'm not interested in those relationships. Like I said the other day, this is an anonymous program. So once I go outside of the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous into everyday living in society, I'm under no real obligation to engage anyone other than the person I've asked to sponsor me, my sponsor, or that I sponsor, right? I'm not really under an obligation to acknowledge or engage or socialize with anyone, but it makes my life sweeter. And I get to choose those individuals in that immediate circle of my network of recovery. I get to choose those. I don't have to hang out with people that shame me or try to guilt trip me or gaslight me. I don't have to hang out with those people. And I was talking to a brother in recovery, and he found hanging out with some old timers that he's a different person. That atmosphere of, I don't want to call it old school recovery, but just that atmosphere of talking trash and being mean with a little humor thrown in it. It's not who he is anymore. Like, he's literally with less clean time, but has been around forever, has grown out of that, has grown out of the need to attack other people and call it fellowshipping, you know? Yeah. And so I just don't have energy to hang out with people that are also in the rooms that don't value how they talk and how they interact with people. You know, I come from a very fragile background. And so, yeah, I'm very attentive to when people are trying to be condescending and abusive in speech and call it love, because that's not who I am. That's not how I operate. And so I don't embrace anything less than what I'm giving. I can't afford to. But isn't it a wonderful thing to have choices like that today? To go from total isolation and not being able to interact with a single human being because of my addiction, to actually having choices about who I interact with. And that has nothing to do with me doing a 12-step. I'm very mindful to make sure that availing myself to carry the message to the still suffering addict is a part of my life every day, actually. But I'm talking about when I'm done with this podcast. I'm talking about after I leave the meeting. I'm talking about after the convention. I'm talking about my day-to-day life, for real, for real. I'm careful about that circle of recovering addicts. But I'm grateful that I have a choice today. I'm about checking my feelings and having at least a couple of people in the fellowship that I can actually confide in. I don't have to put everything on the tables in the rooms and share about, because it's not everybody's business. It is not. Do you have someone like that in the fellowship? And I'm not saying just your sponsor, but do you have someone else? Do you have a friend or two that you really can turn to and talk to? Because the same friend cannot be available all the time. The sponsor cannot be available all of the time. Here's my suggestion. Find out who your sponsee brothers or sisters are. Just start there. Start there and work on developing a friendship with one or two of those individuals. And when you get together and you're talking about sponsorship, try not to dog your sponsor, right? You want to make sure you bring some positivity and recovery to that relationship, no matter what you're talking about, and not making it difficult for the other person to see their sponsor that you share in the same eyes that they've been seeing them. Don't do that kind of damage. That kind of gossip's not good. If that's your intent, just to gossip like that, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having a person that is connected to you in the network of recovery in some way, as a sponsee or sponsee brother, sister, right? That you can sit with and do coffee with, and you can say, hey, I'm gonna call you in the morning, see how you're doing. You want to go for a walk at the park, right? How are you handling your step 10? Tell me how you do that. Tell me, can I ask you a little bit about your higher power? I'm kind of struggling in this one area of forgiveness of God for not protecting me. And start that type of dialogue. And I guarantee you, you will find that your life is much sweeter. Mine is. Oh, I've enjoyed your company today. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.